Okay, welcome back to another instalment for the TR7V8 WVF. So I've been away for quite a bit, and this car was in the storage unit down in Cornwall. So I took the 7 down yesterday and took the 8 out. Needed a good bit of a run. Been sat there for quite a while doing nothing. I've hardly used it since I've got it, so got it out yesterday and took it to a show in Kingsbridge last night, which was a very good turnout, I've got to say. Quite a varied mix of cars there, and yeah, it created a bit of interest. You know, people didn't realise the 8s were out and made, and a lot of talking. Quite a few nice E-type Jags, some really old Jags, really old Rolls Royce. You know, the Escorts and MGBs were there. But anyway, I'm not here to talk about that. I'm here to talk about the 8 and what's the issues at the moment. Well, one of the issues is I've not got the I've not cleaned up any of this yet. The glove box is broken. I'm not sure if you can see that. It's not very good and clear, is it? No, a bit dark. The glove box is broken. It's a bit, you know, it's hanging off the back. There's no latch mechanism for to secure it, and it does go left and right, which is annoying. I think I've said that before. The last issue I had with this car was the fuel gauge light coming on. That's not happening anymore, and I think the last time I left it was that I deduced that the potentiometer on the sender unit was at fault, because I'd obviously sorted out the time delay unit and the fuel delay timer, and I checked out the connections on the fuel tank and compared it to the 7, and everything looked fine. So I deduced that it was the fuel sender unit, and I was going to actually run this car and to get the fuel sender unit out. Now, since I'd been away for a month, came back, got the car, the fuel light's no longer coming on. So without getting underneath and measuring the resistance of the potentiometer on the sender unit, I can honestly say that because I'd filled it with petrol, and I guess the petrol did its magic on the potentiometer, and whatever grit or dirt was in there, then I would say that it's resolved it, and I'm now going to run this car down. And again, the fuel gauge there is showing as empty, but it was sitting on about a quarter of a tank just now. For some reason now it's on empty, near enough empty. I'm beside myself with this car now. I tell you, it's the clock has stopped working, and so has the temperature gauge, which is, I'm absolutely beside myself with this. Also, what happened last night, whilst I was driving back, it got dark, I had the lights on, and I adjusted the lighting illumination, and it went off and never came back again. And so also what I have is, for the air vent, I've only, that switch has come off there, wherever that's gone. Let's put that back on. So that'll need to be resolved as well. I don't have speeds 1 or 2, but I have, let me turn that around the right way. I don't have speeds 1 or 2, I only have speed 3, as you can hear. So what with the illumination and speed setting, I need to get this out and have a look at it and just see what's going on. I might try and get rid of the blue paint as well, because it's actually hiding the descriptions on the you know, the off 1, 2, 3 screen and car for the direction of the heat. So continuing problems. The car runs quite nicely. She is rather harsh, and you know, in the drive, because it's been polybushed. I'd like to try and get it to be a little bit more comfortable. But what I'm going to start with today is to get that center console out and have a look at the problems. Hopefully, as well, I can get to the temperature gauge and see why that's not coming up. I did ground out the sender wire to ground, and the gauge didn't budge an inch. So maybe there's a slight dodgy connection there. Like, I did have the whole thing out, it was working, but just stopped. So maybe because of the harshness of the suspension, and you know, it just rattles and shakes like you wouldn't believe. And yeah, I do prefer driving the 7 in terms of comfort, but that's something for the future, where I want to soften everything up a bit, and yeah, it's not about the handling. I'd rather the car be a bit more subtle in its handling. I think a bit more give, because at the moment, as you're pushing it through speed and through some of the roads on the country, the back axle tends to skip and bounce like you wouldn't believe. So it's detrimental. It's probably good for the track, but not for everyday living, I don't think. So I'm going to get the center out, and we'll start with that. I think it should be yeah, see what's going on. Okay, so I'll pop back in a bit. Okay, for an update, I've got all the center console off. The wiring looks a mess, and checked out the mechanism. It was all loose over here. This had popped out, and this was put on the center bushing here, was on the outside, so stop this coming off properly. So reassembled that in the correct order, put the bushing in the center, so now these turn nicely. Might need a bit of an adjustment on this one to get it to close further, but apart from that, it's okay. Now, as far as the switch fan switch goes, I've got 12 volts coming in, and when it switches between speeds 1 and speed 2, I get nothing. Now what I've done is I've measured the resistance, and there's no resistance between any of these. They're all open circuit, so nothing there, full speed there, because it takes out the 2 resistors. And this is like a bespoke resistor pack, I guess, but I don't know what the resistances are. So what I did, I put that down for a minute. I got my trusted DVM, and I set it on the 10 amp. Let me get that in shot for you. I set it on my 10 amp current range, and then what I did is I made the circuit, because when you measure in current, you have to break into the circuit to actually get it to measure the DC amps. So I don't know what the resistances should be on this little unit. I've no idea. So what I have to start with, I know I've got 12 volts. Ohm's law, you know, you've got current, voltage and resistance. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually put one end of my ammeter to ground, or let's say into the I think it was the thicker green wire, which is the 12 volts. So if I go between there and without any resistance, I should get, I'm trying to do this one-handed, bear with me please. I put this into there. It doesn't matter which way around you put the leads. And if I've got the ignition on, yes I have. And if I get this ammeter and I put this onto where it's connecting, this is the slider, this thing here is the slider, so that makes the circuit for the fan here. So if I put that on there, he's saying should I get the maybe that's the wrong one I've got, maybe it's the other green. Let's try that one. The ignition's definitely on, so I should get something. What I could do is check which one is the voltage, and that would let's get that one into here. He says, come on, I'm going to have to put you down for a second. Let's see if I can get that into here. Is it that one? Into there. I don't think it's that one. I thought it was the green, the large green, for some reason. Try it again. Nope. Take this one off here. Put it into there. Typical. Right, the ground's definitely on there. Why have I not got that on here? Sorry, I didn't have the ignition on. Didn't have the ignition on. Right, so we'll go to here. Right, so I'm not sure if you can see that. I thought I had the ignition on, but I didn't. Let me go back to here. Right, so it's drawing, if you can see there. I'm actually making the circuit with the ammeter, and I'm drawing nearly 6 amps on the fast speed. So what I have to do, obviously with the resistance here, it reduces resistance 1, resistor 1, resistor 2 between these. So with no resistance in circuit, you get full speed, and it's drawing 6 amps. So there has to be a resistance between this one and the middle one, and then from the middle one to the top one, and that would give you your speeds 1, 2 and 3. So what I have, let me just grab it. Oh, it's behind me. Yeah, somewhere. So what I have is I've got a 100k resistor, and that's set to 0 ohms at the moment. I know it is because of the rotation of it. So what I shall do is I shall, he says if I can, I'm trying to do this with the camera held. I did withdraw the car from the, let me see if I can get you to, oh that might be okay, putting the camera there. Hope you can still hear me. So what I plan to do is make the circuit with this, and let me see if I can, I'm hoping she'll last with the current. Let's hope she will. I'm going to connect up this resistor. Let's see if that will work. Got that one in there. Nope, this doesn't seem to want to go. Not that one. Okay, so how am I going to do this? I'll tell you what I could do is if I wrapped what to do. I'll just check this out again just to make sure I've got the right ones. So that's going to the motor, and then that one is right. So now what I need to do is I need to put one end of the potentiometer onto one side of the ammeter, and then the other side to the centre. It might be easy if I went to there actually. Yeah, let's do it that way around. Let's see how this goes. It should still kick off again. Hopefully I don't ground it. No, come on. Is that on there? No, she's not. She's not working too well. No, she doesn't want to go. Nope, she's not taking the current. So yeah, she got a bit hot, that one. So I'm gonna need to do something a bit better than that. It's not taking the current. So yeah. So it's too much juice for the potentiometer. I should have known that really. And let's go back to this again. We should have it fan going. Yeah, 6 amps. So I'm going to need one of these really. I'm going to have a look, but I'm going to put this back on. But I'm a bit loath as to put it all back together again. It's not an issue as such. At least the fan's coming on, I suppose. But this is definitely gone. So that's where I am with this. So yeah. Doesn't take the juice, this. I should have known that, but there you go. Yeah, she's taken about a good 6 amps there. Actually, we might be able to see on the old on the display there. Come on. So, all to no avail, and like I say, I did wonder why this was a bit stiff here. Now it's quite nice. Everything's working properly. The audio wiring is a bit of a mess, and they've used these speaker outputs just to terminate something in one end of a joining crimp, which isn't ideal, but you know, I'm not really worried about the audio, to be honest. Yeah, that's as it is. So I haven't got to the temp sender yet, or the clock. That is, I'm going to have to perhaps take the top off the dash again and make sure I've got the connections there. And that's about it. So the synopsis on the blower is the resistor pack for the fan motor. It did take me a little bit of a while to get it off, and then in between I'd lost a fuse for the left hand side of the car, so I couldn't get the dash lights on, I couldn't get the door lights to work, the boot or the number plate lamps to come on. It's all tied in, and yeah, so that's the glue. If you ever have that problem, it's the left hand fuse, not the right hand. So yeah, it's 25 amps as well, believe it or not. So yeah, there was a spare one under the cover, so that was fine. Let's get the cover, the fuse cover. There it is. It was side 8 fuse that had gone, and there she is. There's the culprit, blown. I did put it back on just to show you, so back on the cover there. So apart from that, not much progress. But you know, I did just suspect it wasn't a wiring issue. It was the resistor pack that's gone. So unless I get some beefy resistors, and which are capable of taking at least, let's say, half load, so yeah, it has to draw about 3 amps, and then perhaps maybe 4 amps, which would drop the voltage down across the resistors, and hence the blower speed. Am I that bothered about it? Well, I don't think I'm going to be driving this in the winter, so it's either full fresh air or nothing really. Yeah, on the vents. So I'll get it all back together again and have a think about what I want to do, and I'll just crack on and see if I can get the clock and the temperature gauge working. I do have it grounded out at the moment, and it's on I have it grounded out, and it's still not moving as such. So, and I've got it grounded. Let's take a look where it's grounded. I have it grounded on this fella here, and if I want to make sure it is actually making ground, I can actually put one end into there, and then go to ohms. Just move it over. Go to ground. She's definitely shorting to ground, and that's where the crimp is there, which sits onto this tab here, and it still isn't budging. So unless the cable's open circuit, I'll find out. Okay, so yeah, a lot of woe with this car at the moment. It runs okay, but you know, it's just all these little things that need to be sorted out. Alright, catch you later. If I find out what the problem is with the sender gauge, I'll certainly update. Bye for now.